And welcome to the very first episode of our weekly show on the GegaHub network.
We are live. No, we're not live.
We are
This
not.
is recorded.
Right.
This is recorded at Cosmic Comics.
That's right. And let's take a moment to talk about Cosmic Comics, our wonderful sponsor, nice enough to let us shoot in the store after hours, of course. So when you see this, it probably won't be after hours.
Yeah,
But,
except for this thing behind me. That's mine. I brought this from home.
As you can see, Cosmic Comics has an incredible array of back issues going from the 50s, 40s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, today, graphic novels up the yin-yang, all the new comic books from Marvel, DC, and the best independent comic books.
We also have a bunch of other, we have statues, we have figures, board games.
Supplies.
Yeah, supplies. One of which, by the way, right here is the new D&D source book, Katasha's Cauldron of Everything, which we have in stock here.
That's right. Yeah, it's awesome. So come on down and visit Cosmic Comics, and you can't go wrong.
Just real quick, I know what you're thinking.
Yeah,
What if I don't live in any town USA where you guys live? How do I get stuff from your cool store?
Well, right now we do have an eBay store, so we do have a wider range of graphic novels on there, and that's basically just Cosmic Comics. You should be able to find on eBay. Eventually, though, we do want to do mail order. We're not set up for it yet. There are some stock issues going on, but we're going to get there, and then we'll be available to anybody, anywhere.
Soon, my pretties, soon. Okay, so we've gotten our beautiful sponsor out of the way.
Except we're in it. That's okay.
Okay, so let's talk about a few things.
Right.
So the big focus of this episode is, well, with everything going on, we're all pretty locked down in quarantine.
Right.
So we thought of a few things that you could do while you're at home, to entertain yourself. But before we do that, we want to read a couple news stories that we found that were pretty interesting.
Right. So I'm going to start us off.
Yeah, please go ahead.
I'm going to start us off. So, in Burbank, California, they have erected a 7-foot-tall Batman statue.
Oh, it's almost as tall as me.
Right. The city of Burbank has partnered with DC for a 7.5-foot-tall bronze statue now on display in its downtown area. Probably you could Google it, or Google Street Maps probably for a good view as well. The 600.
Well, you're quarantining. You can probably take the picture from Google Maps.
Right. The 600-pound statue, was sculpted by Alejandro Pereira Esquerra, and it's based on DC's chief executive officer publisher Jim Lee's Hush story arc, so you know it's a good-looking Batman.
Yeah.
And it was written with Jeff Loeb. The 3D sculpture was manufactured by the local Burbank business American Fine Arts Foundry and Fabrication. This statue came out of a partnership with Burbank's tourism agency, Visit Burbank and DC, whose parent company, Warner Media, is the city's largest employer. That's even beating out Walt Disney Company, which also has business in the area.
Yeah, the Walt Disney.
Yeah, that big one, right?
Yeah,
that owns everything DC doesn't.
Not the fly-by-night Disney, the good Disney.
The good Disney, right? Wow, that's a subjective term.
Sure.
All right. DC has been in Burbank for about 5 years. Before that, they were in New York City for a whopping 81 years, and they decided to move to Southern California. So,
I mean, I would too.
That's got to be a cool statue. I got to check it out. So.
Yeah, it's great. It's almost. I don't know if they ever put up the. Did they ever put up the Rocky statue? In
Philly?
In Philly, yeah.
Yeah, that's been there.
Oh, okay. What about the Robot Cop statue in Detroit?
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
That didn't end up there. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I mean, it's cool.
The Rocky statue was at the top of the steps.
Yeah.
After Rocky 3, and I guess sometime in the 90s they actually moved it. They wanted to get rid of it, but I guess there was like a public outcry with the Rocky statue, and they moved it to the base of the steps onto the right. And actually, if you want to stalk me on Facebook, if you scroll through all the pictures, I actually have a picture of me standing next to the Rocky statue at the base of the library steps.
Nice,
So
nice.
I'll have to refresh that on my Facebook, maybe slap it on Twitter and stuff. So.
Yeah. If you want to Facebook stalk me, I'm going to have a street view picture of the Batman statue, and I'm going to have this guy Photoshop me in there because I don't know how to Photoshop.
There you go. Yeah.
So it looks like I get out and do things, quarantine or not.
Right. I'll try to work that in. So what else we got in the news?
The other thing we got is some people may not have heard of a company called Milestone. Apparently, a lot of the old Milestone comics are gaining traction in the collector's market.
That was the imprint of DC, right? In the
That
early
was
90s?
a DC imprint,
Right.
which was founded by Dwayne McDuffie,
Right.
and Dennis Cowan, Michael Davis, and Derek T. Dingle, who were African American artists and writers
Right.
who wanted to bring diversity to comics.
Right.
There's a lot of stuff came out of Milestone, like Static Shock.
I think he
Or
was
Static,
the most popular, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Static,
I remember watching Static as a kid on the cartoon Static.
yeah.
That's kind of where I got my first taste of Static. But they're bringing.
I really liked Hardware.
They're reprinting. Oh,
Really
yeah,
liked
Hardware. Yeah,
Ooh,
they're reprinting
book.
some of the books. I think they're bringing back a few of the characters, but a lot of
Nice.
the old Milestone books are gaining traction on the collector's market.
Nice.
So
Very nice. And
that's very cool.
I own all the Hardwares. Ooh.
By the way, Dwayne McDuffie is fantastic. I don't know if anyone knows about Dwayne McDuffie. He's a great writer. He wrote, I think he wrote a lot of the Justice League Unlimited,
I think so. Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken, which was one of my favorite cartoons.
Yeah, that was a good cartoon.
When I was a kid.
That was the Justice League version of Batman the Animated Series.
Yeah, Brave and the Bold. Did you ever watch Brave and the Bold?
Yeah, that was later, but that's actually
That's what I thought you were talking about. Brave and the Bold was great.
Yeah,
A lot of great cameos in there.
Yeah, oh, yeah. All right, do you want to get into it?
Yes, let's do this. Let's do this.
All right, so
get past the news here.
Like Louis said, we this holiday season we don't want to go out too much, right? Or at least if you're being responsible, you don't want to.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, you probably want to. You shouldn't, though.
You shouldn't, exactly.
You probably should stay home.
So we're gonna offer up some activities or things you can watch or movies. Activities. Things that aren't well known, like anybody can say, "Oh man, you should watch The Mandalorian." Everybody knows about The Mandalorian. You don't have to say that, right?
Mhm.
Or the Tiger King or whatever.
Yeah,
everybody knows about that.
It's a little-known documentary about a guy who loves tigers.
Except me, apparently. We're going to talk about some stuff that's not as well known. So,
sure.
Do you want to lead us off?
Yeah. So before we start, by the way, can I just quick disclaimer?
Yeah.
Some people already know about these things,
True.
and I understand that.
Right.
Okay. What I don't want is for you to go out and say to people, "Yeah, I knew about that." Just let people have things, okay?
Right. Yeah. Let them enjoy and find something new. That's what we're aiming for.
Some people like me have just discovered things that have been out for a while, which is what we're going to start with. Recently, I downloaded a game on my Switch, which is called Divinity Original Sin.
Yeah, that game's a good game.
It's a good game. Now, I don't have a great PC. I'm not part of the PC master race, so I can't play Baldur's Gate 3, which is depressing. But I have the next best thing, which is Divinity Original Sin 2,
which you can see some gameplay going on right now.
Yeah, it's which was published by Larian Studios, again the company that made Baldur's Gate 3, and it's of course a sequel. And
you don't need to play the first one.
You don't need to play the first one. No, not at all. But it does play. It's very similar to Baldur's Gate,
but it's very good.
Yeah. Besides the very excellent cutscenes and things like that.
Right.
It's pretty much the same. But
this is actual gameplay footage. Good stuff. This is the official trailer from them.
Mm-hmm. It plays a lot like also the old Baldur's Gate games.
But it looks a hell of a lot better.
It looks a hell of a lot better. That it does. It's you start off customizing your character. You can pick a race. You can pick your hair.
You can actually predetermine ones too.
Yeah,
either one. Custom or pre-made.
Mm-hmm. And you can pick classes and things like that, and just sort of start off your adventure, making decisions. It's just like it's almost like a D&D game that's railroading you, kind of, right?
Yeah. And you know what's even better?
What's that?
You can play with your friends online. You can have a party.
You can have a Divinity Original Sin 2 party with up to like 3 people, if I'm not mistaken.
It's 2 or 3.
I'm a hermit myself, so awesome. I don't want to play with other people. Right. I don't like it. But it is available now. It's available on PS4. I've downloaded mine on my Switch.
On PC as well.
Yeah. It's on PC for those of you who use PC. But you're probably playing Baldur's Gate 3 and, making me feel bad about not being able to play Baldur's Gate 3.
But this is a game. It's actually been out, I think, a couple of years, but it's I think it got overlooked. I mean, the people that knew certainly played it. It was successful, but
Mm.
if you don't know of it, you cannot go wrong. This game is solid. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
yeah. Again, it's available
Yeah.
on most systems. So yeah, please give it a try. It's a great game.
Right.
It's so much fun.
All right. What I got is a TV show that was overlooked. It didn't do well. I think it made it 2 seasons on Amazon Prime. It's a few years old. And it's starring the fantastic Ron Perlman, and that's the Amazon Prime
Ron
show.
Hellboy Perlman.
That's right. It's called Hand of God. It is heavy drama. Just to give you a setup, it starts off with him. I don't have a clip to show you, unfortunately, but it starts off with him naked in a fountain in downtown wherever city, like some kind of generic LA, and he's speaking in tongues in the fountain. And he's a judge, so he's a very powerful, influential man, and he believes he has become the instrument of God, and it just kind of goes from there. And it's good stuff.
And it's Ron Perlman.
And it's
so
Ron Perlman,
it's
right?
going to be great and insane all at the same time.
Right. And there are Dana Delaney. She's a known actor. There's a lot of other actors in it that I recognize, but they're not very popular. But everybody in there, every performance was just really solid. Yeah. So anyway, so that's something for you to enjoy and check out. And just going along that line, I don't know if you had any shows as well, but there's a lot of shows that I know I kind of overlook, like maybe another time. Now is the other time.
Yeah.
It's a good time to check stuff out that you're not familiar with.
You know what I love to do, but not like to do, which I recommend that you do for any shows that we recommend to you, is watch one episode a day.
Right.
If you watch it all at once, you'll have nothing to look forward to.
Right.
Watch one episode a day.
Keep it going. Yeah.
Yeah, keep it going as well. Watch one episode a week.
Yeah.
Test yourself. This is the time to do it. Right.
Especially since newer streaming shows seem to be doing the 1 or 2 episode a week format.
Yeah.
I know The Boys did it. I know The Mandalorian's doing it.
Which sucks because we caught up in 2 days of all the Mandalorian episodes, and now I'm itching for more. I have a Netflix series.
All right, cool.
That one's on Prime.
Right. That's right.
Correct.
Yes.
So, I have a Netflix series for people who loved Castlevania as much as I did.
Yeah.
Blood of Zeus.
Nice.
Blood of Zeus is an animated adult. When I say adult, I mean much more mature type of cartoon. There's a lot of violence and things of that nature. But it's done by the same studio who did Castlevania, Powerhouse Animation Studios. It's set in Greek mythology. It revolves around a demigod, a son of Zeus, who is trying to save Olympus and Earth from Hera. Right. And there's demons and there's giants. There's this whole sort of interwoven thing, and it's a great show. It's not Castlevania good. I will say that again. I love Castlevania, but it is really good. I really enjoyed it. Derek Phillips, Jason O'Mara is in it. Claudia Christian, who some of you may know as Susan from Babylon 5.
Susan Ivanova.
Susan Ivanova from Babylon 5.
She's awesome.
Yeah.
She's got a cookbook out too. It's great.
Yeah?
Snack hacks. Yeah, good stuff.
Snack hacks?
Snack hacks.
Snack hacks.
Yeah.
Jessica Henwick, who you might know from a little-known independent picture called Star Wars The Force Awakens.
Right.
I had to throw that in there.
Right.
She's obviously Colleen Wing from Iron Fist.
Right. I love her, actually.
Yeah, and she was in Game of Thrones as well. And, of course, Matthew Mercer. Yeah. For anyone who plays video games or watches Critical Role.
Right.
He's in there a little bit. So
very prolific voice actor, separate from the D&D thing,
Yeah. But it's definitely worth looking at. It's definitely worth checking out. It's very violent, very gory, so if you have kids, maybe don't watch it with them in the room or, sit down thinking it's a wholesome thing.
Yeah, my understanding is one of the first couple episodes has a pretty brutal scene.
Oh, yeah, I don't want to spoil it for you, but there are quite a few brutal scenes. Yeah, so, unless you want to traumatize a child, don't have them in the room while you're watching it. But do watch it. It's very good.
Right. Next I have actually is a board game. This board game, it's actually been out a while. I think it's a board game that for some reason people don't touch for some reason. I mean, it's popular in certain circles, but it never got a wide influence. And this game is called Formula D. And What it is it's a board game that simulates racing, and it's so easy. Like, I can explain the rules to you in like 15 seconds. You roll dice, and then you move your car in accordance to what the dice say.
Right.
That's it. Each gear is a different die, and the die kind of affects how fast you go. But it's one of those games that's so simple yet so complex because you really have to plan out how you're going to take corners, and sometimes the dice don't go your way, which happens to me a lot when I play.
Yeah, so we've played this game quite a few times with friends. It's always a good time.
It is. It is.
I think I've won quite a few times.
Yeah,
mostly because there are times where I'm just like, you know what, let's do this, and I hit the turns and the corners really hard.
Right.
And you start losing bits of your car.
Yeah. But it's all super easy to keep track of. It's not complex. Kids can play it. Although they might get more frustrated if they're hitting the turns too hard.
Yeah, they'll want to go fast.
Right.
But it's definitely a great game. Like the base game has so many tracks.
Right.
Like on both sides of it. Like so many boards, so many cars.
I believe it has 2 tracks, but it has 2 setups. You actually have like Grand Prix style cars where everybody's even. And then you can actually use character driven cars, which I won't go too much into the characters because they are kind of stereotypes.
They're kind of like stereotypical, like Fast and the Furious type characters. If that's what you're into, you can definitely do that.
The cars are a little different. There's some customization there, things like that. But it's just it's simple to learn and can be very complex depending on how you play it. It's really good. Really good stuff.
Just hit those turns super hard.
Do
do what I do. Roll dice, hope for the best.
Right, and just go for it.
That's what I do. Yeah.
All right, what do you
I
got
am
next?
the speed racer. What I have next is a podcast. Now, everyone has podcasts that they listen to. I think just about everyone listens to a podcast nowadays. There are so many. It's easy to overlook some, but I'm gonna give you one that's it's a little more well known. But for some of you who've never heard it, maybe you'll enjoy it as well. It's called "How Did This Get Made?"
Right, that is a good podcast.
It's a podcast where they review movies that are insanely bad or insanely good. It really depends on how you look at it. And you basically what I like to do is watch whatever movie I'm going to listen to the episode of, and then listen to the episode. I think that's the best way to enjoy it. Or if you've seen the movie, just go ahead and give it a listen. But my girlfriend and I, we've listened to a couple of episodes of the ones movies she hasn't seen.
Right.
And she's had a great time just listening to it. It's hosted by Paul Scheer, June Diane Raphael, and Jason Mantzoukas, who Jason Mantzoukas is great. I don't know if you've ever seen him. He's Derek in The Good Place.
Right.
He's Pimento in Brooklyn Nine-Nine. He's so
good.
funny.
Yeah,
he's so funny.
So good in that show.
Yeah. So give that a listen. Also, little known fact. I don't know if you've seen The Disaster Artist, the James Franco movie about the room, but the 3 of them are in it. They had an episode. They did a whole episode on the room, and they had the guy who played Mark.
Okay.
On there because he was promoting his book at the time. Nice. So definitely give that a listen, and then watch The Disaster Artist, see if you can spot him.
Cool. Next I'm going to talk about is things to do online. Like board games are one thing, and but you also have some online games that are a lot of fun. You can actually get together with your friends online and play them. They're both gaining in popularity, but just in case you don't know them, the first one we're going to talk about is called Among Us. Among Us is essentially, if you've seen John Carpenter's 1982 Thing, it's the Thing, the game, the video game. Essentially, you're on your ship. As you can see by the video, you're on your ship. You're trying to fix the ship, but one of you or 2 of you, depending on how you play it, there's a lot of ways to play this game too, by the way, are trying to sabotage a ship and kill the crew. And it's your job to figure out who is on the ship, is the imposter, and to get rid of them. And there's also variations to the game called hide and seek mode, which if you've ever seen a live stream of it, it is not only hilarious, but playing it is stressful. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Now here's the thing: that game, I had no idea what it was.
Right.
Maybe up until maybe a month ago. That's how behind the times I am. Like I maybe heard about it the last few months or so, and not knowing what I kept. Every time someone said Among Us, I kept thinking Last of Us.
Oh, okay.
So like I like had no idea what it was.
And it's
but
great.
now that I know what it is, it's great. It's like a lot of games. So that's like Total Recall.
Right.
It's almost like Werewolf.
Right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, essentially.
Kind of game. So
Yeah,
it's good.
The next one briefly is a game called Fall Guys, and what that is, it's imagine. Have you ever seen like Japanese game shows from the 80s and 90s and how just bat crap crazy they are?
Most definitely.
This is that in video game form that you play online with either random people or friends, and it's crazy. It's like a constant race obstacle course thing that just goes on, and it's crazy, and it's a lot of fun, and you can do it with friends, and that's the beauty of it.
It looks like a most extreme elimination challenge.
That's
kind of
kind of
right?
what it is. Yeah, it's kind of what it is.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's described as a battle royale, but you're not fighting exactly. You're running. You're trying to win. Or
You're racing.
You're racing.
Okay.
And everybody is the same kind of clumsy little thing, or doodad, or whatever you want to call it. So it's good stuff. All right, what do you got? What's next?
The last one I have. Listen, I would be doing you a disservice if all I kept giving you were video games and TV shows and podcasts and things like that. I want you to be the most well-rounded and respectable human being that you can be.
Right.
And the only way you're going to get that way is by reading books.
Nice.
So one of the books I want to recommend to you is a book that's been out for a few years now, but it's one of my absolute favorite books. It's called Devil in the White City. It's
up on screen now. Of course.
Yeah, I am a huge true crime fan. I listen to true crime podcasts. I read a lot of true crime books. This is a little different. It's basically it's a nonfiction book set in Chicago for beginning of the World's Fair in 1893, and it's a little difficult to explain because it takes 2 points of view. The first being that of Daniel Burnham, one of the people who is designing the World's Fair, and the first modern, I would say the first modern sort of serial killer, H.H. Holmes, living at the World's Fair as well, sort of just building himself up and building his murder castle, as they call it. And it's just sort of how their lives just kind of run parallel. I don't know if you've ever seen anything on H.H. Holmes, but it's chilling. Yeah. So it's nice to sort of get away from like that sort of psychotic mess for a little bit and just sort of dive into Daniel's problems. There's a lot of like Americana in there, you know what I mean? Like a lot of like history and things of that nature. I learned a lot about design.
I think you just gave me my next book. I'm looking for a book actually.
Yeah, and it's a fantastic read. Yeah,
check it out.
Devil in the White City, Eric Larson, such a fantastic book. Yeah, and like I said, it gives you a nice break from the psychotic business that is H.H. Holmes to sort of delve into other things. And I don't know, I came out of it pretty satisfied, man. Like it's cool. such a great book. There's so much to it. It's very nuanced book.
Cool.
So, improve yourself with a little bit of literature.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. My last big one, other than the quick picks I have, is essentially it's a little of everything. I'm going to talk about role playing games, and I know that term can have a lot of different connotations, but and it kind of it turns people off. And I know some people they'll see, like a Critical Role, and they'll think like, yeah, I'm not playing that freaking game, right?
Yeah.
Because there's a couple things you have to remember about Critical Role is a couple things you have to remember about Critical Role is that everybody that plays that game are professional actors.
Yeah.
So they act. That's what they do. So you're seeing a particular slice of how role-playing games work.
Some would say that's their job.
That's their job, right. So the truth is a role-playing game essentially has 3 facets to it. One of those facets is problem solving. One of those facets is acting, role-playing. And one of those facets is gaming. And what I mean by gaming is like any board game, the player is out to dominate the field. So, you can play those games one of 3 ways. The popularity of Critical Role has sort of, I'm not saying it's a bad thing because it's brought a lot of attention. The game's more popular than ever. Those are all great things. but it also kind of gives a skewed view of what the game can be. So basically, role-playing games in general, there's a lot of stuff out there. And in regards to family and young people, there's now some great tools and games out there that can help get young people involved. One of them, for instance, is called Gumshoe Junior or Gumshoe Detective, which is essentially, it's meant for younger teenagers, and it's a problem-solving role-playing game. So essentially, you're trying to solve mysteries, and it's one book. It comes with adventures, and it's good stuff. And that's more of a game and problem-solving. So it's not just role-playing, or it doesn't even have to be role-playing if you don't want to. Another good thing, which this is D&D related, is called the Young Adventurers Collection. It comes with 4 books, and they really get into what the game is about, and it really focuses on, to be quite simple, the cool parts of the game.
Yeah, all the lore bits.
Right, all the lore
characters,
bits,
weapons, things of that nature.
What makes the characters cool, what makes the magic cool, what makes the weapons cool and fun. And these are good ways to get family involved. And that's my last major pick before we go into our quick picks.
And just to clarify,
yep.
like D&D, you just talked about like Gumshoe Junior. D&D is not the only
there's a lot of games.
Role-playing game. You can play so many role-playing games in so many different settings.
Right.
We've played a few.
Oh yeah.
In different settings. I think we've played a superhero one before.
Yep.
We've played fantasy ones, obviously.
Right.
So yeah, like they have whatever you need. I think
there is a flavor for everything.
I think I've seen one where it's like 1800, like baseball from like the 1800s. It's really weird. Yeah.
Right.
So there's a lot of different types of games that you can play. That doesn't have to do with Dungeons or Dragons.
Right. Did you have one more before we go into quick picks, or?
No, let's do the quick picks.
Quick
picks.
Do this. All right. You want to start off? Or?
These are quick and easy. Quick and easies. Quick and easy one, Jackbox Games. If anyone's ever done that before, you can do that on Zoom with other people. I've done it before. Right. It's basically just like a bunch of party games that you can play. They sell them in different packs. They're so much fun. One of my favorites is TKO, which is you basically, it's an art one. You draw something, and then you write just like a weird slogan or a weird saying, and then the game puts it on a T-shirt.
Wow.
So like it'll mix in. So if there's like 4 people, it'll like mix and match your drawing with someone else's slogan, and then you get a crazy looking T-shirt that are really fun. And then at the end of the game, there is a link where you can get that T-shirt printed. So if you make an especially clever shirt, you can print that shirt and wear it, and people won't know what it is.
Heck it is. Yeah.
But that's what I love. I love esoteric T-shirts. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah. Jackbox Games.
All
you can
cool.
do that through Zoom, your Xbox, your PlayStation, that kind of stuff. So
All right. For me, I'm just gonna. I have a few YouTube channels. I know the irony, right?
Yeah.
A few YouTube channels that if you're just looking for like background noise, but you want to be entertained too, these are some channels I highly recommend. These guys are all, for the most part, conscious of the various shutdowns, the self-quarantinings, things like that. So they're doing a lot more live streaming. And, a lot of people live stream nowadays. And it's really, you get out of it what you want to. There's so many varieties and styles, and it's something good to have on, and it makes you feel a part of something bigger.
Yeah.
And that's the advantage of it. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the YouTube channel Outside Xbox. It's just a great channel. They don't focus solely on Xbox so much anymore. They started out that way years ago, but now they just play a lot of games. Some of the recent live streams they've done Among Us live streams. They've actually done Phantasmophobia live streams. They actually had a weekly challenge last week where they wanted to see who could get killed by the ghosts the fastest. Stuff like that. Another one, a really good one, and this was all cars. So if you're really into cars, Donut Media, every day they have a new show. They talk cars. It's great stuff. One of the shows that basically is one of the main guys' project car that he just does something new to every week. That's a really good one. And another one, if you're more into role-playing games and stuff, is, well, this too. Dungeon Craft and Runehammer, both of those guys, man. Holy crap.
I love Dungeon Craft.
Right.
That was on my list too, actually, as well.
Oh, sorry, I kind of beat you.
No, please.
I'll focus on Runehammer. Both of these guys just really get into the mechanics of the game. Slightly different styles. Runehammer is like deep diving. That guy, I mean, he is so charismatic and so likable and just nutty and great, and he knows his stuff,
Hmm.
and he gets into the minutia of how, as a GM or DM, how those things work and how you can make them work for you in your games, and it's great. Dungeon Craft, of course, he kind of does two things. Some of it is crafting,
Yeah.
which his role-playing add-ons for live games is amazing.
I will make Ultimate Dungeon terrain.
Yes.
I swear this.
We
to
have
you.
a piece, yeah.
You have a piece of Ultimate?
We have one. Yeah, we have one, the dungeon one.
Oh my
that
goodness.
Frank and Angie made.
Oh, that's great. I'm gonna make one, and then
It's
I'll show
good.
you guys what a bad job I did.
Right. He's a college professor, and he also teaches high school as well, and that has served him well because his videos range from probably only like 10 to 15 minutes, but man, do you get a lot of information at that time. He knows how to be concise.
Yeah,
Great stuff.
Most of the videos are like tips on like speeding up your game and making it much more, maybe streamlining it. I guess is the best way to put it.
Right.
And putting more power in the DM's hands, which seems to be what a lot of people are kind of getting away from.
Right.
So yeah, he's got all these great rules and all these fantastic, and he cites sources. I think he's talked about Runehammer before.
He has, yeah.
Yeah. So like, yeah, he's a great guy, great channel. Yeah.
And even through those guys, you can find other channels like Seth I might be pronouncing it
Seth
incorrectly.
Sorakowski, I believe.
Sorakowski, yeah, he's got a lot of good stuff too.
Yeah.
Anyway, did you have any more?
Yeah, I had one that's not RPG related. Julie Nolke, which is, I believe that's how you pronounce her name. You might have seen her video on where she basically visits her past self before the quarantine. I think that's probably like her biggest video that she's done, but she has so many videos on her channel that are hilarious.
Right.
She's an actress, and she does, I don't know, I guess she does very like sort of sketches on like the redundancy of people, I would say. Like it's really good. They're really funny. If you've seen the one video that I'm talking about, it's a lot more of that.
That's cool.
Yeah, so she's great.
Very cool.
Yeah, she's got a bunch of videos on there. So if you watch a Dungeon Craft video,
right, and
a Julie Nolke video, and a Runehammer video, like one of each every day. That's what? That's a month.
That's a lot of entertainment.
That's a lot of entertainment.
It's a heck of a lot more brain food than some shows on TVs.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Or people who buy tigers for fun.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. All right. You got anything else before we get out of here?
One more thing on YouTube, if I could just please indulge me.
Absolutely.
As an old school wrestling fan, look up Mitsuharu Misawa versus Kenta Kobashi. You don't have to like wrestling to watch it. It's Japanese wrestling, so it's fantastic. They've had 3 matches, and they're spectacular.
Nice.
Please do that. And if that's not your thing, that's fine.
All right.
I got one more.
Yeah.
If that's all right.
Yeah.
Another podcast called Hello from the Magic Tavern. I don't know if you've ever listened to that. It's basically an improvised comedy podcast about a guy who fell in a vortex behind a Burger King with all his podcast equipment, and he's now in a fantasy land where he does a podcast with a wizard and a shape-shifting badger.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic, actually.
Yeah. It's a great podcast. It's all completely improvised.
Nice.
They do get some. They have guests, which are usually much more well-known actors to play characters. I know they've had Felicia Day on there before, and it's a great podcast. They've got about close to 400 episodes. So,
oh wow!
So you have a lot of time to sit and listen, or
right? Yeah.
Maybe have it on in the back. But I would recommend sitting down and listening to it. They're really fun. It's a great podcast.
All right, cool.
And you can watch us. That's another thing to do.
That's true.
You can watch us.
You can watch us.
One episode. If you watch us,
this is our first episode.
One episode for one day, you'll have watched us in one day.
Right, and we'll have a new episode next week. So then, hopefully, you'll watch us then too.
We'll hopefully, tell your friends, tell your grandma,
like, share, subscribe, all that stuff.
Well, just real quick.
Yeah.
If you're gonna watch it during Thanksgiving with your family, don't. I know Thanksgiving is about togetherness, but just listen, okay? It would really help us out if you guys watched our video.
It would.
It would help us out even more.
We're fledgling.
If everyone watched a video on their own phone so that we
That's
could
true.
get more views.
That's true. We're
You don't have
we're
to.
trying to grow. Yeah,
You
we're
don't
trying to
have
grow.
to. I'm just throwing it out there.
Right.
It's an idea, maybe let grandma borrow the smartphone for a little bit and let her watch. She doesn't have to pay attention. She can fall asleep. That's fine.
There you go. It's true. Just let it run.
Just let it run in front of the dog. He'll be fine.
Right.
Yeah.
Put it on your smart TV.
Yeah. Don't all watch it on one device is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Help us out.
Right.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, cool. And that's our first episode. Hope you guys enjoy it. Anything else before we get out of here?
No, have a lovely holiday,
right,
guys. Listen,
Happy Thanksgiving.
Seriously, take care of yourselves and, just try to, you know what? And besides all this stuff that we're giving you,
Yep.
I would recommend picking up a new skill.
Yeah.
Somewhere, maybe do some art. Maybe there's plenty of sites where you can learn how to do things. You can learn how to cook, things of that nature. Do that stuff too. You don't want to just sit around and watch things all day. So that would be very, very helpful.
True. Yeah.
So just stay safe
and be kind. Be kind.
Be kind to one another. And and have a great holiday, guys.
All right. We are out of here. Woo! Thanks, everybody.